Okay, so this is a quick tutorial on the Seer Sage. It's a healing sage. So first go over the basic utilities. Well, this is automatic, but I'm just going to show you a basic rotation. So utility points, I would say Force Wave heals you for 2,000 to 2,800. That's this ability right here. Probably not best to use with enemies near. This is just kind of a free heal that you can use. If someone's tanking someone, you definitely don't want to hit that because that'll reset the aggro. But this is just like a quick kind of emergency heal, self-heal as well as allies. Next I would use Jedi Resistance, damage reduction increased by 3%. Cloud Mine, this is your threat trapper. That's this ability right here. Gives you damage reduction, which is great. And then Mind Ward reduces damage by all periodic effects by 15%, so that'll definitely reduce damage taken by a dot. Mental Defense, the best thing about this is that it reduces AoE damage. This metaphysical alacrity is pretty good because you can use Force Speed more often and Force Barrier as well. So this is a Force Barrier. It's also known as kind of the God Bubble. It's your emergency button that you use. You can let it channel and it will protect you. And also you'll see that I'm being healed here. That's due to the legendary utility Life Ward. So Life Ward will heal you with Force Barrier as well as Force Armor. I'm also getting healed. And then lastly, this gives you some mobility, turbulence, healing trance, and force serenity. In our case, it will be healing trance, can be used while moving. This is healing trance right here. So yeah, I can use it while moving, while it channels. Now you'll notice that healing trance proc'd Vindicate. Vindicate is sort of your mana regeneration skill. So the rotation will take these ticks into account. The tick can be found here. Resplendence, it stacks up to 3 times. Every time you hit it, it'll replenish your energy or mana. And so it'll tick up to 3 times, and typically, well, it only ticks when you hit healing trance, when you have a critical tick on healing trance. So let's just do I'll show you the basic damage first. So they're an operations dummy. You would start with Mind Crush, followed by Weaken Mind, Telekinetic Throw, Project, and Force Slow, and then by then Weaken Mind being a dot will have worn off and be ready to hit again, as well as Telekinetic Throw. This is a channel ability, so you let it fully channel, then you just go through again. And then when you can, hit Mind Crush when it's off cooldown. You don't really need to worry about disturbance. I don't think it's worth it in this spec. So here we are with a basic single target damage dealing. Mind Crush, Weaken Mind, Telekinetic Throw, let it fully channel, Project, then Force Slow, and then you're ready for Weaken Mind again, Telekinetic Throw, Project, and then Force Slow, and now we have Mind Crush off cooldown, so go ahead and hit that, then Weaken Mind, Telekinetic Throw, Project, Force Slow. So I guess that's good for PvE content. You definitely don't want to be doing, you only want to be doing damage rarely in an operation. If you have to be doing damage, then something's definitely wrong. As far as an AoE rotation is concerned, I guess the Seer Sage doesn't really have much in terms of AoE. We just have this Force Quake. Other specs have better AoE, but you know, if you're going to hit a bunch of people, then just you can put a dot on the strongest target with Mind Crush, then go ahead and hit Force Quake, and it hits this entire area. Okay, so now on to the more important area of defense and healing. So your two defense spells are going to be Force Armor, and we picked that utility that let it passively heal us, which is great. Force Armor absorbs some damage, and you can only cast it lasts up to 30 seconds, and the target becomes force imbalanced, cannot benefit from Force Armor again for 15 seconds. So if you can cast this on the people in your raid or whoever you're running with, I'll cast it on this Astromech unit, and you can see he can no longer benefit from the Force Armor, and neither can you. But the buff just disappeared, so we can cast it again. So this is definitely a pre-battle cast, and if you can, re-up it during the battle. But obviously, your priority is going to be the heals. So your other defense is the God Bubble, and it's best to let this channel. It'll absorb a huge amount of damage, and if you let it channel, you get this thing called Enduring Bastion, a shield that absorbs amount of damage based off the charges that are present when Force Barrier ended. And this is your cleanse. It's called Restoration. You know, every healer needs a cleanse, so that is extremely useful. And then as far as other defense, this is kind of a soft defense ability, Cloud Mind. We activated a utility that brought it damage reduction when you hit Cloud Mind. And so that's your threat dropper. Doesn't always directly work, but it does put your threat numbers down, which is nice. And we also have damage reduction on it as well. Lastly, if you're really in a pickle, Force Wave just knocks everyone back. You shouldn't be doing this if a tank is really trying to focus on a mob of targets. But if you're kind of in the back and you need heals, go ahead and hit that. It'll also hit a few people around you, a few friends around you, which is nice. And so that doesn't really cost any energy, so you can use that as a self-healer. The other self-healer, and now we're talking about healing, is Force Mend. So I have that programmed right here. And I typically don't heal myself that much during operations. I mainly just use Force Mend. It has a cooldown of 30 seconds, and hopefully, you know, if you're in an out-of-the-way spot, you can just take care of yourself with Force Mend. But if you need heals, go ahead and heal yourself. So the basic rotation, everything hinges upon this ability called Rejuvenate. So let me bring that up. Where is that? Yes. Okay, Conveyance. Everything hinges upon Rejuvenate because of Conveyance. So, Rejuvenate, if you cast Rejuvenate before anything else, what'll happen is it'll basically give a chance to get a super version of the next spell you cast. So, you can see if we hit Benevolence, it has a crit chance of 60%. Benevolence is right here. I don't actually hit Benevolence ever unless I get an auto proc for it. So we can ignore that first one. Deliverance, activation time reduced by 0.25 seconds. That is super useful because Deliverance is one of your biggest heals, and the faster you can activate it, the better. Healing Trance, crit chance to increase by 25%. So when I was talking about using Vindicate, using the ticks of Vindicate, if you were to hit Rejuvenate first and then Healing Trance, I've got 2 stacks of Resplendence. Hopefully next time it'll do like 3 stacks of Resplendence, but this is me regenerating my energy. So the way your mana regenerates is you can either wait for it to regenerate, but that's a waste of time, or you can hit Healing Trance. Hopefully it'll click up to 3 ticks of Resplendence. It only did 1 there, but it'll restore some of your force, it'll restore 40 force. And then Salvation, force cost reduction by 20%, which is fantastic. Salvation is an AoE heal. and then Wandering Mend, which is another AoE heal. So Wandering Mend, let's take a look at Wandering Mend. Places a mending force on a friendly target and heals them the next time they take damage. After healing the target, it wanders to another friendly target within 20 meters. So you can use this as a preventative medicine, but if you were to cast... If you were to cast Rejuvenate before this, what it would do is have your Wandering Men immediately heal that target, and then it'll bounce around and hit other targets. So you will actually see that in this rotation. So, as I said, Rejuvenate is actually your most... It's not a great heal spell in and of itself, but it's instant, and it allows you to make a super version of Healing Trance, Deliverance, Wandering Mend, and Salvation. So, your typical opener for healing is Rejuvenate. Then the next thing I would hit is Rejuvenate, Wandering Mend, Rejuvenate, Wandering Mend. While Rejuvenate is cooling down, I would probably hit Healing Trance to let it build up some ticks, and then hit Rejuvenate, Deliverance. Deliverance will proc Benevolence. And if I have 3 ticks of Resplendence, let me see if we can get 3 ticks of Resplendence. Let's do this again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That procs Salvation as an immediate cast. So that's kind of your emergency AoE heals if you need it. A great thing about hitting Salvation with that is you get a free Benevolence. Okay, so we're going to do Rejuvenate, Wandering Mend, Healing Trance, Rejuvenate, Deliverance, that procs Benevolence, and then you can kind of rinse and repeat. If you find that you're going really low on energy, the best thing to do is hit Rejuvenate and Healing Trance. It'll give you a much better chance to build up 3 criticals, and I'll show you an example of that later. But first, let's do the basic healing rotation. So let's just attack this guy right here, and then we would be able to heal the dummy. Okay, so Rejuvenate, Wandering Mend. You see how it bounces? Then I'm going to hit Healing Trance to build up the stacks while that was on cooldown. Now you'll notice that we have Salvation available as an instant cast if we need it. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do Rejuvenate, Deliverance. That procs Benevolence. And then I'm going to fill it up again with more Healing Trance. Then I'm going to hit Rejuvenate again. This is a repeat of the rotation. Wandering Mend. Hit Healing Trance to build up stacks. Now you can see I've at 75% energy, so I'm just going to hit one of these, and that immediately helped us regain energy. Rejuvenate again. Deliverance. Benevolence. Fill it up with the Healing Trance. I'm going to restore my mana. Rejuvenate. Wandering Men is free again. Healing Trance to fill. And let's just drop one of these here and see what happens. You see how that wiped out the proc for Vindicate? So bear that in mind if you use that as an emergency. Granted, you could always build up that stack again by hitting Healing Trance. That built up 1 stack. One thing to point out is that with Salvation, Salvation only procs when you have 3 stacks of Resplendence. So, Rejuvenate, Wandering Mend, fill with Healing Trance. Now I have 3 stacks. You can see these are procced. Then I'm going to hit Rejuvenate again, Deliverance, procced Benevolence, put another Healing Trance, get up my mana. I have 1 stack left. I'm going to replenish that in my next go around. 3 stacks. Rejuvenate, Deliverance, Benevolence, fill it up with Healing Trance, get my mana back, Rejuvenate. This is a repeat of the rotation. Wandering Men. So that's kind of the basic rotation. If you keybind it, it'll go a lot faster. Let me try it if I keybound it. Pre-battle, we'll throw a Force Armor up. So, sorry, I just hit Force Armor. This is using key bindings. You'll see the rotation goes a lot faster. Rejuvenate, Deliverance, Benevolence, Healing Trance, Regenerate my mana, Rejuvenate, Wandering Men is free, fill it up with Healing Trance, Regenerate my mana, Rejuvenate, Deliverance, Benevolence, Healing Trance, Regenerate my mana, Rejuvenate, Wandering Men. Let's throw Force Armor again on this target. Healing Trance, Regenerate my mana, Rejuvenate, Deliverance, Benevolence. Okay, so you get the idea, right? And in the meantime, if I'm taking damage, I can always hit Force Mend on myself. And if you're really up Shit's Creek, you would hit Force Mend on yourself, and then Force Wave to give you some breathing room, first of all, and also some heals. And I think that's about it. Oh, you also have these buffs. Mental Alacrity. Alacrity will give you a 20% boost for 10 seconds, which is super useful for channel abilities. And then you also have Force Potency, which increases your crit chance. So you can throw those in whenever you feel like people really need some heals and you need to heal faster or you need to heal better. Cooldown is 1 minute 18 seconds for Force Potency and 1 minute 45 seconds for Mental Alacrity. So bear that in mind. Lastly, your mobility spell is Force Speed, so that'll help you run away from trouble in the battle, or just to get to the next group of ads. And then you also have a raid buff. So the raid leader will call raid buffs when they want Force Empowerment, increases Mastery, Endurance, and Presence for you and the Operation Group members within 40 meters by 10%. So that's super useful when the boss is like at 5% health. Alright, and I think that's it.